Hi guys, in this video we'll be discussing some of my favorite trading books, some of the books that I've narrowed down for you. I've read a lot of books, I've read a lot of research paper, but the books that I'm sharing over here in this video are the ones that if you get really good with the concepts shared, the markets are going to be easier for you. So this video is divided into two parts as you can see here. The part one is inexperienced people, I'll say. The part two is experienced people. See, inexperienced people are those who lack basic knowledge. It could be about the price action. It could be about the volumes, indicators. There are a number of them, and even the instruments of trading and their dynamics. So if you know price action, volume indicators, but you don't know instruments of trading, you are still inexperienced. And experienced people are those who have been in the markets, have been trading the markets in the right way, but they lack the depth in specific elements of the market like the price action or the RSI or the MACD volumes or even time frames. So here I'm going to share all the books from beginner to advanced. Some books are only for the people who have some experience, while some are better for the inexperienced. These are the social media handles you can connect with me. And we'll begin this video with part one. So the first book that has to be mentioned is a technical analysis of the financial markets by John Murphy. It's a very old book, but I think one of the best. And I would say it's an optimal entry point for newcomers, whoever is interested in the markets, who want to trade or even want to invest, or just want to learn the technical analysis. I think this book is a must to begin with. And why is that? Because this will give you a solid understanding of foundational concepts, which will give you a very good groundwork for specialized knowledge that we will be doing in the part B. The book will basically cover everything that is there out in the technical analysis. It starts from Dow theory, chart construction, how the charts are made, what is trend analysis, reversal patterns you will learn. You will learn about the volumes, moving averages, oscillators, like RSI, MACD and all those, trend following indicators. Then you will learn about support and resistance. Then there are some advanced concepts like Elliott wave theory that are discussed. Even different kind of charting like point and figure are also analyzed here. And commodity markets have a separate section in the book. So, it gives you a picture of even the instruments of trading. That is a good thing about it. And then also it has practical insights on how to create and test a trading system, although a bit outdated on that front. But I think it's always a good idea to just see how things started, back in the time. So yeah, it's a good source, on chart analysis, indicators and strategy to begin with. So this is the first book. The second book that we have is Technical Analysis Explained by Martin J. Pring, and the Martin Pring has a lot of other books to offer, but I believe this is a good starting point in his work. So basically, if you will see the content of this book, this is very similar to the Murphy book. But why I'm putting it here again is when you read this book, what will happen is you will get more clarity in the concepts that was discussed in the Murphy's book. And as I've written, examining a subject from two distant perspectives is consistently advisable as it enhances your clarity. And it's a good method to reviewing your understanding. At times it happens that when you read one book for one or two readings and then you read another book, that another book actually complements the first one even better, right? So this is the importance, and this book will go into the depth, a little bit more depth compared to the previous book, with a lot of visual representation of the concepts that the previous one lacks. So these two combined together will give you a broad understanding of everything that you are going to do in your journey as a technical analyst or even as a trader. So these two books cover the very basics of everything. Now, the third book that I have is Stan Weinstein, Secrets for Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets. It's one of the best books out there available. And see, as I've written here, it is an excellent resource for advancing your knowledge beyond the fundamentals. As this book will introduce you to something called as cycles, focus on the moving averages, and he will introduce a great concept of stage concept, which is objectified using moving averages. So basically, you learn the use of moving average. And it also tells you, how to short the stocks and how to basically move in a very prudent way. Although there is one thing that I would like to mention here is to completely absorb what is written, to completely get the concept, it is required that you give a very thoughtful engagement to the book whenever you are reading it. Multiple readings, various complementary concepts are essential. Now, what are those complementary concepts? Well, you will have to link this book to the ones you have read before. Then only you will be able to extract the best out of this book and the ones you read previously. And even if you feel that you are not able to fully grasp the book, the concept, you can go on to my channel. I have a complete playlist, absolutely free of cost. I've covered this book, which you can watch as, that will serve as a time efficient alternative for you. But that doesn't mean that you skip on reading the book. Read the book, watch the playlist. But definitely from this book onwards, basically we are pivoting from a very basic broad understanding of things to more focused approach in learning. As you can see that this book will focus on the moving averages and the stages primarily. So that is a great thing. Now let's move on to the other book, that is Trade Like a Stock Market Wizard by Mark Minervini. Another amazing literary work in trading. And this is a very good resource for somebody who is looking to explore the pullbacks, corrections or contractions that happen in the market, on a micro scale. A very focused approach on the pullback or the contraction phase of the market. And one more good thing is this book also touches upon the fundamental aspects of the stocks, So that is good. Although I personally wouldn't advise you that you go a lot deeper into the fundamental aspects. I have a very different approach about that. But I personally don't do fundamentals, and I can only suggest you that in this book also, you can just read the chapter about the fundamental and then you can just move on. You don't need to be too worried about it. So that is a great book. And this book basically focuses on, as I said, contractions. But there is a problem with this book. And that is, if you read the book and you go on to implement it, there'll be a problem of practicality. See, the book is written great. There are good concepts. But the thing is, when somebody reads the book and goes on to implement it in the market, what happens is they go with a very formalistic mindset or a mindset of taking things at the face value. So that is something where you need to be careful. And that is what I've written over here. See, if you try to if you try to just learn the methods over there, you will run into some troubles. So as I've seen here, that rather than treating these concepts at some rigid formula or some pattern, better for you would be to simply understand the underlying concept the author is trying to teach you, and then use that concept in your practice. And also, if you see, this book is coming after the Stan Weinstein. So it is important for you that you read in the given order in this presentation. Then you will be able to appreciate the work more. But just imagine that after you read this, now you have to read the pullbacks, corrections and contraction in the context of stage analysis. So this adds a lot of value to you, right? And you will be able to find a lot of other things. You will be able to find a lot of hidden things in both the books. Why? Because they complement each other very well. The next book that we have is Japanese Candlestick Charting Techniques. It's a book by Steve Nissen. And it's a good guide prepared by Steve Nissen on the Japanese technique of candlestick. Basically, the concept of candlestick came from there. So he touches upon the history of this. That is always good to know from where something is coming. And he will talk about the candlestick patterns that reveal the market sentiment and potential trend reversals, right? So see, now here, trend reversal is coming again. And trend reversal is something you read in the first two books. So now what will happen is when you're reading this book, you will get even more understanding of the trend reversal that is being taught here and that was taught earlier in the books. Again, you see how this book actually helps you in the previous two books as well. So this book will basically cover a lot of patterns you probably would have heard, like doji or engulfing patterns and lot more complex formations. And the best thing is he also explains the psychological concept or the understanding behind every pattern and gives you some practical insights as well on how you can make trading strategies around the candlesticks. But what I feel is that there are some shortcomings. What are those? See, candlesticks are nothing but a representation of demand and supply of the market, correct? And demand and supply is something controlled by humans only at the end of the day, even through the algos a human has made. So somewhere what is happening is there is a great deal of element of subjectivity. So what happens is when you approach a concept of subjectivity through objective lens, you will face a lot of problems, right? So this is why what I've written here is that there is a lot of subjective nature of pattern recognition. And there is a need for supplementary analysis. What do I mean by that is simply relying on candlesticks is not going to work. Rather, if you supplement this with, a support and resistance understanding, the stage analysis, or the moving average understanding that you learned, then you will get more clarity on this book itself. So that is what I've written here, that you should be cautious of over-reliance on the candlestick patterns. I'll try to consider incorporating them into a broader technical analysis toolkit that you have prepared in the first two books. If that is how you will approach this book is absolutely brilliant. But if you don't do that, you will run into a lot of troubles. So see, there is no book that you can read on its own, a single book that will lead to success. It will always be the integration of all the books together into a toolkit or a framework. This is something I basically, teach. That is how basically I teach. Another book is a complete guide to volume price analysis by Anna Cooling. Amazing book, I would say. Why is that? Because see, this is the first book that is going into one element of the chart, which is volume. This book will focus heavily on the volume aspect of the market. And everything will basically revolve around that. You see, volume analysis in conjunction with the price action, right? So this will give you great deal of logic behind the market dynamics, how everything is moving, why such kind of moves happen, and all the logic will be explained. But there is one more thing, there is a problem with this book, that there is good theory in this book presented on the subject of volume price analysis, but immediate practicality to go and apply in the markets is something what the book misses on. It will definitely give you a great deal of theoretical understanding of volumes, but that is something less practical. The amount of knowledge that you will get is obviously good, but do you get the same amount of practicality? No. A good point to start understanding the volumes in depth, but that is all about this book. Don't be too concentrated on it. Take the basic, the core understanding and move on. That is all I'll say for this book. There is not more to it. Now we are moving into the part 2, and here important books will start. So if you are somebody who has done the basics, who knows the basics, then these books are going to change the game for you. The first one in this is the technical analysis using multiple time frames, book by Brian Shannon. And as I've written, I see that this is one of the lesser known books and it's a transformative resource as I've written. Why is that? Because this book, again, particularly, specifically goes into the exploration of the multi-time frame concept, coupled with the valuable insight into market structure and trend alignment. So again, what is happening is, this book focuses on multi-time frame, but it also inculcates the market structure understanding and your trend analysis, something which you read in the first two books of the part 1. See? And when you assimilate this knowledge, the foundational knowledge that you had, whatever it's given in this book as well, you will see a lot of moments of illumination of the fundamental principles you initially encountered. So whatever looked simple, as in support and resistance, Steve Nissen's candlesticks, that probably will look might say that, okay, that is basic. But once you read this book and then reflect back on whatever you read on those books, you will see that there was a lot for you to discover in that. And this book will help you to do that. So definitely a highly recommended book for everybody. You are an option buyer, stock buyer, futures and option trader, or even an option seller. If technical analysis is your thing, this you cannot miss on this book. I cannot stress more enough on that, but this is a book you have to get your hands on. If you go on to buy this is a bit expensive, so try to see if you can buy this and get the book. Amazing book. It's a small book, but highly recommended. The next book we have in part 2 is The Art and Science of Technical Analysis, a book by Adam Grimes. It's again a comprehensive exploration of the market structure, price action, and trading strategies. So this book will also dwell into a market structure. It will give you another perspective, a different perspective about the market structure, the price action that you read, and also about the trading strategies. That is where it is important, that this book will specifically focus in the chapters on trading strategies. From there on, you can take out a lot of things. But there are few problems with this book that I'll discuss. So see, he will cover the foundational concepts like the trend analysis, support and resistance, and the chart patterns. But again, here also you are getting a different perspective. So by this time, trend analysis, support and resistance will become your very easy, very simple for you. Why? Because you have read it multiple times through different perspectives. Then he will go into the deep nuances of price action. That is probably my favorite part of the book. Then volume analysis is over there. And the good thing is, only that much volume analysis in this book that is concerned for trading from practical point of view. So that is a good thing. And then there will be a lot of practical insights for you into developing a lot of trading strategies that you can make through a scientific approach. So that is the best thing. It doesn't have a very dogmatic objective approach like a lot of other books, or a very subjective approach. I mean, I've heard people who tell you to develop the eye or train the eye. That is a very broad and loose statement to give to a beginner. But this book actually gives you a lot of logic, a lot of scientific approach. That's the best thing about it. But there is a problem that even some of the best experienced people in the market will find a lot of challenge in this book, because such is the depth of the book. And hence, this is included in part 2 only, because it requires a very solid foundation. You need to have a very solid grasp about the foundational concepts of technical analysis. But once you have that, this is a valuable resource for traders who want a very in-depth and rich understanding of artistic side of the trading as well as the scientific side. So again, a book that you cannot miss on. Then we have New Trading for a Living, a book by Alexander Elder. So this is basically a comprehensive guide that will combine a lot of psychological points and a lot of technical points of the trading. Why is that? Because Dr. Elder is a professional trader and a psychiatrist. So this combination is very unique, and because of that, this book offers a very unique perspective towards the psychology and the technical aspect as well. As you know, he gives a lot of importance on the understanding of one's emotion, the individual's emotions, then developing a very disciplined trading strategy and managing your risk effectively. In this book, he will introduce concepts like moving averages, but in a very different light. You will get a lot of different understanding. So this is very important. Don't think that you know the moving averages. This book has a very completely different angle to offer on these indicators like MACD, moving averages, and even CCIs and the RSI. So a great book to learn all that. But the problem is, some people might find that there is a lot of psychological emphasis and psychological explanation for the things. You might find it, right? you might find that there is a lot of psychological discussion than the trading related discussion. But again, that depends on person to person. But I would say that this book, read in the sequence with the other books, is a game changer. So don't skip on that. The next book we have is Strategies for Profiting on Every Trade by Olivia Wells. Again, it's a great book. And the best thing I like about this is there is a lot of focus, emphasis on trend analysis, pattern recognition, and a lot of tools to maximize your profits. So you see, there is a lot of specificity in this book. So that is the aspect I like about it. He will talk about the contractions, specifically the first contraction, the second contraction, and so on. He will give a great deal of insights in, the timing aspect of the market, what happens at what time, how to swing trade, and a lot of different things. But the thing is that this book is a bit too dense. The discussion is of a little higher level. So to make the best of it, I've kept it a little lower in the order, a little later in the order. So it becomes important that the books that I've discussed previously, you must be very thorough with them. Then only if you read this book, you will be able to extract the maximum out of it. So this is a book, if you are looking to improvise your strategies further, to make your strategies more advanced, this book is a valuable resource. Then we have Best Loser Wins by Tom Hogarth, and it's one of the best books, I would say, when it comes to understanding the mindset, the mental models and psychology behind trading, in trading, how you should be. Why is that? Because Tom is a high-stake trader and specifically day trader. So that makes this book interesting because he comes from a very different perspective, from a very dynamic and fast environment of high risk. And that is why I like this book a lot. So he will tell you a lot of good things. And the best thing is that he will ask you to break away from a lot of common psychological biases, right? Basically, you have been taught to believe in a lot of conventional psychological wisdom in the trading, which is actually hampering your results, your performance, which you don't even realize. But this book will give you the eye to see that, to identify the problem and embrace the losses and embrace yourself, your trading strategy. So this can, I believe this can enable you to be a bit better trader and to handle everything that is happening with you in a bit much better way, obviously in terms of the trading. But the problems are that a lot of people say that this book doesn't resonate with them because, as I said, it will make you challenge the unconventional thinking, because a lot of unconventional ideas over here. So my advice to you is, whenever you read this book, read it with very open mind, with no bias. Don't approach a book with a bias or looking to validate whatever you think. Be receptive, be very open to whatever the author has to say, and take out the best things. Reflect on that, and take whatever you like from this book. There is no, I would say, practical examples, a lot of practical examples, no strategy or anything like that. But if you want to get better with your psychology and your mindset, this is a book that you need to have. Then we have Stock Market Wizards by Jack, and I think one of the most famous books out there. But why is it here? Why is it in part 2 so late? See, this book I would recommend you to read only when you have good understanding of the markets, when you are able to put the money in the market and you're able to make returns, get the returns you want from the market. Once you are at that level, you might not be very consistent, you might not be very pleased with yourself, your performance, but you see that you are on the track. Then this book will be actually helpful, not before that. Why is that? Because see, once you have the knowledge, now all you need is different angles to approach the same knowledge, right? When that happens, whatever knowledge you have, it is complete in itself, but the different perspective unlocks different aspects of the knowledge that you have. And when you will basically read this book, there are a lot of interviews of very different kind of traders. Some traders will be keeping positions for weeks, some will be day traders, while some will be scalpers. So you will get a lot of different perspective from every trader. And when you read this in your free time, your trading is going good, everything is fine. When you read this from a relaxed mind, from a relaxed perspective, you will be able to extract the best of this and whatever knowledge you have. And don't think that you will find some structured step-by-step guide or trading of the trader. It's a book about the traders, interviews of them, just basic of what they do, how they do things, how they manage everything. So if you are looking for specific strategies, I've already mentioned books. This is not for that. This is basically just peeking into the mind of some successful, one of the best traders out there in the world. Then we have, I will say, one of my favorites in this entire series is the RSI, The Complete Guide by John Hayden. I think not a lot of you probably would have heard about this book. And I'm not sure if this book is still in print. It is an old book. But anyways, this book focuses exclusively on the RSI. RSI is the focus or the focal point of the book. And everything basically revolves around it. So this book will go into a lot of depth of the RSI in technical analysis and will give you great insight. And through RSI, Hayden will give you practical applications of entering a stock, exiting a stock, trading strategies, and risk management through the RSI. Gives you an entirely different approach onto how to approach an indicator like RSI or even other indicator if you want to use. But there is a problem. The problem is, as you go forward in this book, the book will become a bit too nerdy for anybody. What will happen is a lot of focused work, a lot of micro work will be done on RSI. And if you go on to do that and learn that, you will run into a lot of problems of impracticality, right? So what I will urge to you is read this book. The initial chapters are absolutely brilliant, but the point you will feel that the book is getting a bit too nerdy, wherein the calculations about the RSI levels for the targets will come in. That is where, it kind of threw me off. And that is something I don't like about this book. So make sure that you read this book, but be aware that you don't have to be so nerdy with the RSI, because you are reading this book after reading all the books previously. And whatever you have read in that book, try to incorporate in that knowledge. Try to incorporate the knowledge that is given in this book. Through that, you will be able to understand the RSI even better than it is explained in the book and the concepts that you have read before this. And the last book we have is Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. It's one of my favorite books. Why is that? Because this basically helps you in any phase of your life. Whether you are a parent, you have a business, starting a business, whether you are in school, college, university, or about your relation, any kind of relation you are in. So this basically focuses on a lot specifically on the mindset of an individual. And I believe in trading, if you have a very bad mindset, a fixed mindset, a depressive mindset, you will not make it no matter what kind of books you have read, you read, or who has taught you, or how much practice you do. Because I've seen people who work very hard, who are very devoted to things, but somehow they are not able to perform to their best ability in the markets despite of putting a lot of hard work. The reason for that is mindset. And that is why if I don't keep this book here after reading all this, you will probably not be able to justify your hard work, or basically not be able to give justice to whatever work you have done. So in the context of trading, if I have to explain this book to you, so author will talk about two mindsets. There is a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Your work is to first identify whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. Once you identify that, there is a lot of theory about that in the book, which you can read, and then you can kind of see for yourself where you stand. And later on, a lot of case studies are also there. So that is a good thing. You can probably relate to a lot of them. And then there'll be practical methods to how, if you are a fixed mindset person, how to go towards a growth mindset person, or how to even get better with a growth mindset. Because trading is a dynamic profession. Things change, right? Market dynamics change. So it's very important for you to have a growth mindset. So I've written basic here. You can get this PPT through my Telegram. You can just go to this Telegram group. That is where I'll put the PPT. You can read about this. And this is a book. Make sure that you can read it. And this is a book you can read after reading all the books, or you can start with this book itself. But I've kept it at the last because it's always good to read such kind of psychological books once you are making some money. That is important. Once you have made some money, then your mind will be at ease and a better condition to receive some information. So yeah, these are the books I'll give to you. Although I've read a lot more, many books, a lot of research papers I've read, but I believe if you are able to read these books in the best way, you will be doing good in the markets. But there is one thing I'll say. Reading books, understanding them, then applying them in the markets, then making your own strategies is a time-taking process. So don't expect yourself to become something amazing 1 or 2 years. If you're reading books by yourself, then, and you are also doing the practice work by yourself, and trying to put things into context, then I think you will need to give around 5-6 years. That is something that is required. If you are expecting anything before that, that's not something realistic, I would say. That's not a realistic expectation from yourself. You are putting too much pressure on yourself. But yeah, give yourself 5-6 years with these books. And if you have that much time, please get these books and go through them. And I'm sure you will do good. If you feel time is more valuable to you as of now, you might check out my academy. That is where I teach a lot of things. And basically it reduces your time. The knowledge is out there. Everybody has it. But the perspective towards that knowledge is missing. That is what I basically give to you. Anyways, these are the books and I hope you liked it. And yeah, do come to this video back whenever you read or whenever you buy a book. Update in the comment section and we'll engage over there.